I mean, you talked a lot about these kind of different success factors in the negotiation situation. Could you maybe summarize for us what are the top 3 really success factors to be in a successful situation after the negotiation? I mean, the question is also, how do we define a successful negotiation? But I guess from the side of one partner, that would always be that I achieve most of my goals. So what are these 3 top factors that I have to think of to become successful?
I would firstly name preparation. I know I'm repeating that a lot, but in my experience, it is really overlooked stage in negotiation, and businesses can really do better in the preparation stage. So why preparation stage is important for negotiation? The first reason is that it's the only stage where you're still not involved with the other side. So you're just alone, or within your internal team, you're planning for your objectives and for your strategy. And your emotions are still intact in that stage, so to say. So I like the quote that says, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Okay. So thinking preparation, even if it's a shorter preparation, it's really important to spend time on that. Now, a second success factor from my perspective would be ability to listen. Ability to listen to the other side. And it's not only what is being said, it's also what's maybe not said. Some things may be said in the negotiation room, but it's also important to acknowledge that when you build relationship, you might learn some facts or information about what's important to the other side in the coffee room or in the coffee break room. And that could allow you to create a solution that works for the other side. Now, why I'm mentioning this? It's mostly because in negotiation, each party shows their positions, right? So they don't open the whole cards to each other, right? But for us to propose a solution that works for the other side, we have to meet their interests or what's really at stake, what's really important. So ability to listen, to see, ability to ask questions and then listen is a really crucial factor for success, in my opinion.
So that would mean that sending a smoker could be a good strategy in a negotiation, because usually the smokers meet outside for a small break.
If
they maybe get some additional insights that the normal negotiator would not get.
Could be, if there are a lot of smokers on the other side, yes. And then the third, I would say, it's right attitude and right mindset. So just checking a little with yourself, asking yourself what questions you don't want that the other side asks you, because it's better to be the first one to answer that question, right? Maybe they'll ask, well, would you share your pricing structure, right? And then if you're lost in negotiation and say, well, we can't really do that. Oh, can we do that? Oh, maybe I should check with my boss. It doesn't show the firm stand on what you do. So thinking about things that what you don't want to be asked and having the right determination. And although you asked me only for 3 things, given that we're talking about international business negotiation, I feel that it's important to mention the cultural understanding. And when there are international dealings between 2 companies based in different countries, it's important to understand whether they are more task-based, or is it really important for them to build relationship at the beginning. Just small example like this. Yeah.
I think I have had an experience with that when we did one negotiation or for a deal between 2 universities with a partner in India. And for me, it was really interesting to see that it was so important for them that we first started to build up this relationship. So it was really first about going out for a joint cup of tea, having food together, and spending a lot of time together, which for me, with a German background, was very strange, because I like to get to the point rather fast, and I was prepared with all the slides and all the information that I thought would be relevant, and none of that actually mattered during the first days, because it was all about creating this relationship. And that is something I think that you really have to be aware of in these international negotiations.
I would definitely agree with that.
Before we start talking a little bit more about your experience with international negotiations, are there also some kind of topical typical pitfalls that you say, these should be avoided by any means, please don't do this and that. This will be kind of the guaranteed pathway to failure.
Guaranteed pathway to failure. Well, as the first one, I would mention failing to prepare. I know it's a repetition, but I will not go into more detail. Failing to prepare can cause misaligned strategy between your colleagues and you if you're going into a negotiation room not alone. It can also lead to a very different outcome, because if you don't know what you really want out of that relationship, out of that negotiation, it will the other side will lead you through the process rather than you taking the lead. Second pitfall is really allowing your emotions to take over. And although we talk business, we always imagine people in suits, in a corporate dresses or corporate setting. There's more often than not bursts of emotions, especially when you think about negotiation that goes on for 3 or 4 months, once or two times a week, sometimes 10 or 12 hours in the meeting room, and you really feel like you can't come across to the other side. They just don't get you. So sometimes those situations really can get to you and cause them an emotional outcome. There are people who walk out of the negotiation room, right? And in those situations, we have to keep our emotions at check. I would also allow myself to mention our egos as well, because sometimes we just want to be right, and thinking that it's not about convincing the other side that you are right or wrong. It's really just finding the solution together. And the third pitfall in the international business setting would be not understanding cultural setting correctly. So we will talk a bit more about the examples in that, but really if we take your example that you mentioned, if you come and negotiate with Indian partners, and you come with an approach where you're straightforward and you're prepared and you have your structure, and you really insist on that process because you say, well, I prepared this, I'm used to do this. Then the other side potentially could say, well, that doesn't work for us. We want somebody we have a good relationship with. We want somebody who we feel that we trust, because we don't want this kind of relationship where this is such a clear structure, right? So it can really directly affect the outcome, to the sense that you might lose the deal in the end.